What if a single chemical became an instrument of unimaginable horror? In the story of World War II, Zyklon B is a name that echoes through the darkest chapters. Originally invented as a pesticide to combat outbreaks of typhus, this cyanide-based substance was never intended for murder. But in the early 1940s, Nazi engineers and bureaucrats redesigned its purpose. At Auschwitz and other extermination camps, Zyklon B became their key to industrialized death. Unlike anything before, the Holocaust was not just a crime of passion or panic. It was a meticulously engineered operation. Train cars arrived at the camps every day, packed with people. Jewish families, Roma, political prisoners, children clutching their parents' hands. Upon arrival, the Nazis used deception, telling people they were going to take showers to be deloused for their own health. Instead, hundreds were herded into airtight gas chambers. Small openings in the ceiling or walls allowed SS guards to pour Zyklon B pellets inside. Once exposed to air, the pellets released hydrogen cyanide gas, a lethal, invisible cloud. Within minutes, those inside the chambers suffocated. Death was excruciating. The victims clawed at the walls, desperate for air, leaving scratch marks that can still be seen today. The choice of Zyklon B wasn't arbitrary, bitchy, it was a logistical decision. Early killings with carbon monoxide proved slow and required constant technical oversight. Zyklon B was efficient, portable, simple to use. A deadly poison, it fit the Nazis' morbid desire for efficiency. IG Farben, the giant chemical conglomerate, manufactured Zyklon B. The company's officials knew about its deadly use. They met regularly with SS officers. Their profits soared as their product was used for systematic murder. Every detail was standardized. The supply contracts, the storage, the technical procedures, the disposal of corpses. The Sonderkommando, Jewish prisoners forced to work under threat of death, entered the chambers afterward. Wearing fragile gas masks, they removed bodies to be burned in crematoria. Among these workers were men who risked everything to document what they witnessed, burying notes and photographs as proof for the world. The scale of murder is almost beyond imagination. Historians estimate that over 1 million people died by Zyklon B at Auschwitz alone. Families, languages, and cultures vanished into the ether, their final breaths stolen by a chemical pellet. And yet, the machinery of the Holocaust was even more chilling for its banality. The men who ordered Zyklon B, the scientists who refined it, the bureaucrats who counted the shipments, they all described their roles as just following orders. After the war, at the Nuremberg trials, Zyklon B's manufacturers and Nazi logisticians faced justice. Yet some escaped retribution, blending back into ordinary society. Still, the legacy of Zyklon B remains a symbol for something profound: the transformation of technology into an engine of genocide. It's a reminder that ordinary things twisted by hate and bureaucracy can become tools of mass murder. In exploring Zyklon B's story, we see the dangers of moral surrender and how the supposedly impossible horror can become reality step by step. What makes Zyklon B and the Holocaust still relevant isn't just the scale of loss. It's the warning that evil can be chillingly methodical, and that indifference can be as deadly as hate. The walls of the gas chambers, the blue stains left by hydrogen cyanide, the testimonies of survivors, all continue to bear silent witness. We look at these remnants not only to remember the millions lost, but to confront the chilling truth that an ordinary product wielded with cruelty helped fuel the machinery of genocide. If technology and bureaucracy once turned a pesticide into a weapon of mass murder, what lessons must we carry into our own time? The story of Zyklon B is not simply one of horror. It's a challenge to memory, to vigilance, and to humanity itself. How will we answer it?